Hello and welcome to episode 143 on the Online Trainers Podcast. Today's topic is the hardest part is just getting started. Hello and welcome to the Online Trainers Podcast, where we go behind the scenes to uncover the latest tactics and strategies top trainers around the world are using to get more clients, dominate their marketplace and get their clients amazing results. There is absolutely no fluff here. I'm your host, Lynn Trin. Now, I was sitting down with my lovely fiance last night and we're really just going through everything that I've done over the last 3 months. So really we're dissecting every area, every piece, every puzzle that I've been involved in over the last 3 to 4 months, particularly when we've had one product to sell and, we've gone in and we've really dissected down the effort that it's taken to sell that one product. And I want you to understand this at this very moment in time, that if you're just getting started, I don't ever want you to underestimate, the amount of work that it's going to take to go and acquire a new client, the amount of work that it's going to take to get that client results, the amount of work that it's going to take for you to be resilient to follow through. And as I was showing her all of this, and I was telling her stories on how this needed to be done and how we hired this person for this and, they weren't doing such a good job as I initially were and all of this stuff, right? I realized how hard it was to create a product, a coaching program and sell it. Because I know a lot of the times, a lot of trainers struggle because they can't do one specific area. They actually can't do multiple specific areas. And when you're first starting out, it is you that needs to put on all those different hats. It is you that needs to put on the marketing hat. It is you that needs to put on the Facebook ads hat. It is you that needs to put on the sales hat. It is you that needs to put on the fulfillment hat. It is you that needs to put on the email and copywriting hat. I want to give you an example. We have a product and a service that we sell. Now, disregarding the product and service that we sell, right? Creating that product alone, and let's assume that we have a product created. Let's assume that we have a 16-week program created. The energy, the effort that it takes and it requires for you to successfully sell that product again and again and again and created automated systems around it is extremely, extremely difficult. But with the right knowledge, with the right advice, you're going to get done. And that's what you're here to learn. That's why you're here, right? So with that being said, I was telling Kerry and she was really going like, oh my God, in order for you to sell this one product, you have to be good at Facebook ads? And I'm like, yes, honey, we have to be good at Facebook ads. We have to be able to know how to write Facebook ads. Okay. And then she was like, well, didn't you just pay $2,000 a month for this girl to come in to help you? And I was like, yes, well, I did, honey. And she's like, but that $2,000 a month is just Facebook ads, right? And I'm like, yes, it is. And so when we look at this, we move into the next step of the funnel. She's like, well, who's creating all of your landing pages? Who's creating all of this stuff? And I told her initially I was doing it. And she's like, but this was just so complex because you got like 4 pages through ClickFunnels and, you got your landing page. Who's designing this stuff for you? And I told her initially I was on Canva and I was on Photoshop and I was designing it. And then she's like, oh, okay, cool. Then what about the sales process? Like what happens after you get a lead? And I'm like, well, if they're a warm lead, we can call them up straight away. And she's like, oh, but then you have to be good at sales, right? And I'm like, yes, you have to technically be good at sales. And then she's like, but what if you're not good at sales? Well, and I'm like to her, well, most personal trainers and most coaches, that's where their funnel breaks down because they don't have the ability to sell. Okay, and if you don't have the ability to sell, well, it's finding out the question. And I told her this. I said, look, most personal trainers are broke because they don't know how to sell. But at the end of the day, they don't understand marketing as well. Because if you don't know how to sell, that is okay. But you need to understand how to market, to persuade your prospects to want what you have, to create desire for what you have. And if you are able to create that desire, then you don't actually need to be that good at selling. But unfortunately, some coaches and trainers suck at both. And so I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I had to get really good at selling because this was one of the things. When I got leads, I needed to be able to sell them. And she's like, okay, well, what happens after you sell them? And then I'm like, well, then they become a client of mine, right? And then she's like, okay, but how does that process look? And then we mapped out and she had a look through our flagship product. She had a look at a flagship product. She's like, holy crap, how long does it take you to build that out? And I'm like, well, it takes me about a few weeks. But when I first started, it probably took me about 6 to 12 months. And why I'm going through this is because to me, The process seems so easy because I've done it over and over and over again. And because when I start out on a project and I go into the rabbit hole, I go deep. And so I don't really look at the work required. But to her, she was like, holy crap, this is what it takes to be successful. She's like, I can see why so many people start and they're not successful. And when she told me this, a light bulb kind of came out. Because there are so many people that will sell you on the easy fix. They will tell you how easy it is to get new clients. And the reality is sometimes it will be easy to acquire new clients, but it's not always going to be easy, okay? I do not ever want you to underestimate the task of acquiring a new client, especially inside of the online space. So in order for you to successfully succeed, that $0 to $100,000 is the hardest part. And one of my coaching clients inside of Legacy, Tony, he's been in Legacy for the last 3.5 months. And he's flown through the systems, he's flown through the mindset work that we put him through, and he's actually made $120,000 over the last 3.5 months, and he's absolutely gunning, and he's moved on to the next step, pillar number 2. Okay, and why I say that is because $0 to $100,000 is when you're working, okay, when you're working and you're trying to develop your new product to sell, your coaching program, your flagship program. Not only do you have to develop your flagship program and do the fulfillment side, but you have to understand how to write ads on Facebook, right? That in itself is an art. That in itself, you know, you could pay thousands of dollars for a person to write ads for you. And then not only on top of that, you actually have to understand how Facebook works so that you market to them. And then not only that, but you have to understand how to convert and write up and build out landing pages to acquire the customer's details and leads and contacts. And then not only that, you then have to have a follow-up system via email, video in place, right? To get them from a lead to becoming a client and customer of yours. And I really want to lay this out for you because there are so many business coaches, so many other people out there that will tell you how simple it is and how easy this is. And the reality is, I've been through it again and again and again. And the process to me is easy. And the process to me is simple because it is second nature. But when you actually break this down, what essentially are you doing? If you've never started out before, and I don't mean to tell you this to scare you, I just want you to change your expectation and I want you to get in and get ready to get your hands dirty. Because I promise that if you do, the game is going to change for you. If you get your hands dirty, the game will change. No more jumping on this hamster wheel. No more being, having these false expectations of what your business should be like and what other people are doing. You are actually going to make the biggest breakthrough of your life if you start to change your expectations on how you actually build an online business and grow. And I mean exponentially grow. Because a lot of the times people will tell you, just do this, do that, and you're in. And I'm going to tell you this. The effort that it takes to set up $0 to $100,000, $50,000 to create a product, to market that product, to sell that product, I do not want you to underestimate the task at hand. Why? Because if you do, you will lose. If you do, and you probably have done for the last 2 years, you will keep consuming other pieces of information without realizing the work at hand. And this is the journey that I had to go through. When I write my ads and I'm paying a $2,000 Facebook expert, I'm still writing my ads because at the end of the day, I can do a better job than her because I've put in the work. Okay? When I've paid somebody to build out my funnels and landing pages, I'm still going back and tweaking things because I've done the work and I know what the market wants. And so what I want you to do is I don't want you to get overwhelmed. If this is overwhelming you at this very moment in time, I do apologize, but I can't not tell you the truth. Okay? I can't not tell you the truth. This is the truth to creating an online business. This is the truth to growing. This is the truth to creating any business at all, whether it's online, it's offline. You create a product and service that people want. You have to market that service. You have to be able to sell that service, and then you have to be able to fulfill that service. Now, you see, the reality is you're taking on 3 different beasts. And within those 3 different beasts, there are probably 3 jobs in each of them. So you're literally taking on 9 jobs. As the entrepreneur from 0 to 100, when you've made $100,000, that's when you can start to outsource. That's when you can start to delegate. That's when you can start to hire people because you have cash flow. But if you are starting from scratch, understand that you need to master a little bit of these 3 areas And so why I'm telling you this today is because I know that if you shift your expectations, you roll up your sleeves and you're willing to get your hands dirty, and that you understand that there is no easy way, there's a simple process, there is no easy process, then you're going to succeed. Because right now when I look at things, we're approaching May the 1st and it's halfway through 2017, and I don't want you to go through 2017 the same way you went through 2016, the same way you went through 2015, because you were not set up with the correct expectations. So my message to you on this podcast episode is to change your expectations, roll up your sleeves, and appreciate that this is not a linear growth. The hardest part is getting started. Once you get started, oh my gosh, I can tell you on the other side, it becomes fun. It is fun. Once you get to 50,000, once you get to 100,000 and you know how to sell your product, it becomes fun because growing it is so much easier than building it and making it take off. I want you to think about this for a second. I want you to think about the most amount of work a rocket ship has to put in to going into space. Is the most amount of work actually being in space and orbiting? In fact, the rocket ship moves so much faster than it does in space than it does on Earth, right? The rocket ship moves so much more smoothly. The rocket ship moves 10 times, 100 times faster outside of space than it does when it's taking off from Earth. Yet the reality is most of the effort required was for the rocket ship to start its launch from zero up into space until it releases all of its dead weight. And that's the same for your business. Right at this very moment in time, if you're stuck, it's because you have not understood the task at hand, you have not appreciated the task at hand, and you have not decided to roll up your sleeves and put on all those different hats. And if you do need some help understanding this process, then please reach out to me. Send me a message on my page. I know I've got automated bots replying, but that's me trying to be at the forefront and figure things out. If send a message to my personal profile, contact me inside of the Online Trainers Club, because I want to help you actually understand what task is required to build a successful business. And I don't want you to be disillusioned by all the information out there selling you that there's an easy laptop lifestyle. If that you want to go down that path, we'll speak to you in about 2 years when you've been punched in the face time and time again. But if you want to grow, then you need to reach out to me, contact me and say, Lynn, help me grow. But with that being said, I hope this episode helped you. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Alright, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes, and feel free to leave a review, and that way I can respond and I can take that on board in developing content to serve you. Now, if you're not a part of the Online Trainers Club on Facebook, please do yourself a favor and be a part of the conversation. That's where I add daily tips, tricks and strategies on how you can build out funnels, how you can get more clients and ultimately become a better online coach. Thank you for listening.